distance. Let's spread out a little here, please. We have to practice social distancing unless you're in the same. Ladies and gentlemen, we are professionals up here. It's been a while. I'm taking a high road to spirit. But I know I'm gonna be restored. I'm taking a high road to spirit, keeping my eye on the Lord, and I may not know where I'm going, but I know I'm gonna. But I know I'm gonna be restored. I'm taking a high road that I won't, 'cause I'm walking on in the light, on the high road to spirit. I'm taking a high road to spirit, keeping my eye on the Lord. May not know where I'm going, but I know I'm gonna be restored. And if it ever grows dark, I have faith that I won't fear it, 'cause I'm walking on through the light, on the high road to spirit. Hey, walking that high road to spirit, taking that high road to spirit, taking that high road. I'm taking that high road. Yeah. High road. Walking all night on the high road to spirit.
Cat Williams and our Unity Band, welcome everybody. Yeah, thank you for being here and thank you for spreading out and distancing. Isn't this wonderful though to be here this morning? I'm so glad to be here with you here at Unity of the Blue Ridge. I want to thank all of our musicians. I want to thank Tia. I want to thank Acela for the time. It took a lot of time. I want to thank those 3 men that wrangled with the tent yesterday and everybody that has helped us come out and set this up. Would you give them a hand and show them your love and appreciation this morning? Thank you so much. We always like to begin our time together in prayer, and so we do so now, turning within. We greet this day literally giving thanks for the opportunity to be here now. We also give thanks as we look at this building and see the new siding. We see what is happening, that change is taking place, that there truly is change in the air. And sometimes when it feels like everything is falling apart, we realize that it is to be born again at a new and more holistic expression of what it is created to be. So we open this day to what we are created to be. Today we explore what it is to live in that space of uncertainty, to embrace the mystery of our own being in such a way that it opens us to be the way. For this sacred time together, for this opportunity to be here now, we are truly grateful. We give thanks in the name and the nature of all that is holy, and so it is. Amen. We would like to ask you, if you happen to have your Wi-Fi on your phone, and if it's pulling the church's Wi-Fi, if you could turn that off so that we can have a clear live stream. We're going to be live streaming again at 11 on the inside, but we're live streaming now for anyone that wants to join us. We've also already made the call that we were tentatively planning to have a service at 7 tonight. Part of the reason we planned 2, 9:15 and 7 was hoping and praying that we could get at least one of the 2 with Mother Nature's cooperation. Mother Nature says not so much tonight. She's planning to storm a little bit, so we are. Here we all are, gathered together in this place. Why are we here? What is our purpose? What is His will? How do we know what's true and what's real? We may not know where life's road will lead. It doesn't matter as long as we believe that God is the answer. What's going on in this world today? Where do we fit? What can we do to make a difference? What can we say? Where do we go? This way or that way? If we all pray and truly believe and love one another, and let the whole world see that God is the answer. God is the answer. God is the answer to whatever the question may be. Oh, if we all believe and love one another, and let the whole world see that God answer. God is the answer. God is the answer to whatever the question may be. us with an Eddie Watkins Jr. song, God is the Answer. Thank you so much, each and every. And again, we want to thank you for being here. This is a first. Anybody else, is this your first time outside having church? Yeah, I kind of like it. I can't wait till we get that back porch. Maybe we make it a regular thing. What do you say? Have an outside service. Well, today I'm beginning a 4-week series that is based on the book by Dennis Merritt Jones, The Art of Uncertainty. We are also going to be having a 4-week weekly book study that Reverend Christy Corna, if you look online, it's a Zoom online. We'll be studying this online as well for 4 weeks. So the art of uncertainty. And, you know, uncertainty is an aspect of every life and really an aspect of every part of our life. But so often we get caught up in our routines and our habits, and we just sort of like to not pretend that things are truly uncertain. For example, you know, I thought we were having a, but you're always after we leave. But the truth of the matter is, it's uncertain. And then there are times in our life when it really comes to the forefront. There's comfort in knowing. There's a beautiful scripture from Jeremiah, and if you could hear it as your soul speaking to you, that says, I know the Creator's plans for you, plans for your well-being and not evil, plans to give you a future and everlasting hope. That there's peace in that in the midst of uncertainty, there is still a plan, that there's a soul, a spiritual plan for each and every one of us. And so learning to know that it is well with our soul. But we face uncertainty, and sometimes it comes up so big that we can't ignore it, such as all of the unknowns we're facing right now. Will I get COVID? Will the people that I love get COVID? Will we find a vaccine? Will our healthcare system hold up? Will our retirement, our jobs, our money, our schools, you know, all of these things, there's a lot of uncertainty in all of those areas. And the truth is, again, it's always there, just like with the stars. Stars are born and they die. And even our very bodies, we don't like to think about it, but this is a biodegradable, recyclable system, a temporary system that my spirit is using right now to interact with each of you here on planet Earth. And so one of the things about uncertainty is realizing that it is truly a part of every aspect of our life. And yet so often it's sort of like, there's a great story from the Sufi tradition, the wise fool, Nasruddin. You may remember that Nasruddin had lost his keys, and he was you doing? And he said, I've lost my keys. And so they got down on the ground as well, and they're crawling around in the dark under the street light looking for anything. Are you sure? Where's the last place you had them? And he said, way over there. And they said, well, why are you looking here? That's right. If you really let that sink in, when something is lost, life is calling us beyond the familiar. But we want to hang out where things are familiar. We want to hang out where we know already how to see how it works out. We want to hang out where it's comfortable, it's predictable. But that's not the way that life works. And so sometimes it happens like this. Anais Nin said, there comes a time when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more powerful than the pain it took to bloom. That it's usually inspiration or desperation that we're dealing with when we're facing those places of uncertainty in our lives. And so when it comes down to uncertainty and realizing that it is a part of all of our, it's like Maya Angelou said, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by it. That's the powerful part about uncertainty. And that's when unknown places. Even though there's fear, the scripture says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, yea, though I walk through the darkest valleys, I will fear no evil. But now listen to this. It didn't say, I will not fear. Because fear is a natural part of life. We're going to have some fears. But it said, I will not fear evil. That I can walk with my fears. It's like, getting on a roller coaster. How many of you like to do it on purpose? Yeah, and some of us not so much, but we've been talked into it. But, there's a sense of anticipation that feels fearful, but really it's because there's an excitement that's nudging you on to do something. Uncertainty, we may not be able to control everything, but we certainly don't have to be reduced by it. So what we want to look at today is 5 things, and they're not really it's not a 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, so to speak, but they're all working at all the time. But this week, there's 4 things that we can begin to pay attention to as we notice the uncertainty in our life. And the first thing is to bring mindfulness to the places where we do have uncertainty. But these things are, I am, I know, I don't know, I pause, and I love. And so let's look at those. I am. When it comes to uncertainty and not knowing things, our ability to be comfortable with uncertainty, we have different levels of tolerance. We may have a high degree of tolerance for unknowns and uncertainty in some areas of our life, and then we may have just very minimal tolerance for uncertainty in other areas of our life. But in varying degrees, uncertainty, because it's taking you to a place you've never been before, there's going to be some fear, but it doesn't mean we're not equipped to walk with that fear. The first point is I know that when we know in our spirit who we are, when we know that it is well with my soul, when we know that I am always connected to the Creator, that I am, this first one, that I am, when I know who I am, then taking those steps in time of uncertainty, I'm not feeling like I'm doing it alone. When we think about I am, we're all born with what we could call a severed sense of belonging. From the day we came into this earth and the umbilical cord was cut, it was severed. There's something within us that knows we are a separate individual. This physical body, what's often this earth suit, will feel a severed sense of being. And yet the spirit always knows we're one with all that is. So when we're dealing with uncertainty, when we pay attention to our I am I coming from a place of severed sense of being? Do I still feel severed and disconnected? Or within me, do I feel fully connected? There's a story that Annie Dillard told in one of her books. She said, I read about an Eskimo hunter who asked the local missionary priest, if I did not know about God and sin, would I go to hell? No, said the priest, not if you did not know. Then why, asked the Eskimo earnestly, did you tell me? We're enculturated with stories about our own limitations. We're enculturated with stories about our own unworthiness. We're enculturated with stories about not measuring up. And while there's certainly opportunity to improve, probably in every aspect of who we are, in spirit, we are whole. That was the primary message. The spirit is connected. You can only what? Think yourself apart. And so when we think about uncertainty, the first is I'm always connected with my soul. The second aspect of is the recognition of there's things I know and things I don't know. And, there's things we don't know that we don't know as well. It helps to spend time thinking about the things that you know when you're facing uncertainty. I know that it's well with my soul. I know what my intention is. I know that I'm doing the best that I can. I know that guidance is always available. To spend time with those things that I know these things. And to be willing to be honest, to say it very quietly to yourself, I don't know. I don't know. That comes more difficult for some than others, and quite frankly, some people that it's real easy to say, I don't know. It comes from a place of victim, which is not the place of healing as well. We need to find that place of I don't know that can give over, that can still stay fully engaged. It's not a giving up. It's not a resignation to say, whatever, I don't know. It's that part that lets go to get out of the way, to become the way. Of saying, I don't know. Some people would rather have the certainty of misery than the misery of uncertainty. Think about that. The Dalai Lama, a few years ago, there was a gathering at Harvard University. They brought in, it was a mind science conference, where they brought in some of the most intellectuals in certain areas. They brought in some of the most renowned philosophers, and then they brought in some of the most renowned spiritual leaders, talking about things in the world. And people were talking about these things and speaking from expertise and speaking with quite a bit of confidence. And then they got to the Dalai Lama and they asked him a question, and he sat there a minute and he said, I don't know. You could literally feel the awkwardness in the room, where our culture is so geared for insta-fact, that if we don't know something, we just make it up. Or we just pull something, well, here's a fact, it may or may not apply. We insta-fact stuff. But he said, I don't know. And that the atmosphere of the room, something happened. A lot of people had to sit in that, what feels like discomfort, that space of, honest to God, I don't know. But the scriptures say, ask, and you shall receive. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened. We like to focus on the second half and not spend too much time hanging out in the unknown. But in a time of uncertainty, it's what do we know? We know things aren't working. We know this. We know what we believe. We know these things. But then we don't know how to get the next step. But there's something in us. There's an intelligence and a wisdom within us that does know, if we make room for that. I am, I know, I don't know. One of my favorite stories, some of you may recall, about I don't know, is the father who was a third-generation barber. He had owned this family barber shop and had always been successful in this small town up in New England. And this is a few years ago, and there moved in one of those quick clips, those $5 haircut places when they started popping up. And all of a sudden, he couldn't compete with $5 haircuts. And after being the third generation, all of a sudden the barbershop is beginning to go under. And his son came home from college, and the dad broke the news, and he said, son, I'm so sorry. I thought I'd be able to pass this business on to you, but it looks like we're going under. I can't compete. And his son, who had been in college, had just learned about Thomas Edison and what Thomas Edison called his Thomas Edison naps. Thomas Edison was known for sitting with a rock in his hand. He would take a question in, hold a rock over a metal trash can. He would sit with a question, hold a rock over a metal trash can, because he didn't want to go to sleep. He believed that if he could just relax and stay in that place of unknown, of unknowing, that he could open himself to the dimension that did know. And if he dropped the rock, he knew he had fallen asleep and kind of defeated the purpose. So the son had just learned that, and he told the dad, he said, well, let's just think about every possible idea we could think of how to save the business, and then let's go fishing and forget about it. And that's what they did. And so they went fishing, enjoyed their time. The son went back to college, and the father had made some time to think about it, and he took one of those ideas and he implemented it. Well, when the son came home from college that Christmas, Dad's business was doing well again, and he said, what did you do, Dad? How did you turn it around? And he said, when I got really still, an idea came to me, and he put a sign in his window that said, we fix $5 haircuts. all we need is an idea, an idea. So I am. Who am I in times of uncertainty? Am I that severed sense of self, or can I remember that I'm always connected? I am. There are things I know, and can I be honest about the things that I don't know? There's power. One of the things that the Dalai Lama said in that time when he answered that question and said, I don't know, he said, I would rather sit in my own truth than grasp hold of an illusion. Isn't that power? I'd rather sit in my own truth of I honestly don't know than the grasp after a solution. You know, it's interesting during this time of COVID, of not knowing, how denial, one of the things that we do when we don't know is denial. Remember, it's a big hoax, it's not real. That's denying it. And then clinging and grasping, toilet paper. Let's be honest, how many of you have more toilet paper in your house right now than you've ever had in your life before? Why was there a toilet paper shortage with COVID? No one still knows. But it's grasping, it's trying to control something when everything is out of control. I am, I know, I don't know. And then the third is I pause. You know, that I don't know, just like the third generation barber, the father, he had to pause. He had to take some time to be still. When we pause, we can really ask ourselves, what am I afraid of losing? You know, fear is always attached to some sort of loss. Think about it. Can you identify any fear that is not attached to some sort of loss? If you can, please let me know, because I haven't been able to identify one. Every fear is attached to a loss, and loss is about unknown. And unknown is about uncertainty. When we make space and ask ourselves, what am I afraid of losing, and who am I if I lose this? Can I still sense that it is well with my soul? There was a student of Swami Satyananda who teaches mindfulness meditation, and the student of the Swami said, Swami, do I need to become Hindu to really dedicate to this path of mindful meditation? And Swami said, why would you ask that? He said, I'm not a Hindu, I'm an undo. And I like that. I'm an undo. That when we are in that place of pause, I pause. Help me undo, as the psalmist David said, create in me a clean heart, create in me a clean slate. It's the beginner's mind. Help me be completely open. Help me pause to allow the greater possibility that is within me to begin to reveal. Richard, would you give me that song? In the 30s, there was a woman born. Her name is Deidre Bloomfield Brown. She was born in New York, raised in New Jersey on a farm. She attended Miss Porter School in Connecticut. She went on to college. She graduated from the University of California at Berkeley. She became an elementary school. She got married. She had two teachers. She became a teacher, got married, had 2 children. Seemed to have a good life. And then she went through a divorce that just about devastated her. But after a few years, she found another man that she adored, and he adored her and her kids, and they got married. Life was going well. They had moved to New Mexico. She's teaching. And after 8 years of that marriage, she heard her husband drive up one day when she was out on her porch with tea. She heard the car door close, and he came around and he looked at her and said, I don't love you anymore. I've been having an affair. It's over. She was in her 40s at that time, and she said she felt like her life fell apart. She said, the only thing I knew to do was to pick up a rock and as hard as I could, and that's what she did. Like, go away. I don't want to hear this. I can't deal with this. I don't want this uncertainty. It was not on my agenda. But he left. She's in New Mexico, a teacher with children in her 40s. It sent her out into the great unknown. The woman today is known by the name of Pema Chodron, a great Buddhist teacher, an author of numerous books. She didn't even know what Buddhism was when that happened in her life. But it led her down a path to discover resources that she didn't even knew she had, all because of that space of uncertainty. Pima would go on to write, if someone shoots you with an arrow in the heart, it's fruitless to stand yelling at that person or throwing rocks. It would be much better to turn your attention to the fact that there's an arrow in your heart. What is hurting our heart? And let difficulty and uncertainty transform you, and it will. In my experience, we just need to learn how not to run away from it. She went on to say, now is the only time we have. We change the future by the quality of presence that we embody right here and right now. I am. I know. I don't know. I pause and I love. We are love. God is love. And there's a presence of love, if we can make our way to that abiding presence that will sustain us in the midst of any unknown. A few years ago, I read in the Washington Post, it was on a Mother's Day, and this was titled, A Mother's Essay. I loved him before he ever was, and now so much it hurts sometimes. Eyes the color of green tea, soft cheeks, and only the promise of a beard. At 19, he slipped from my grasp. His friends joined frats, and he joined the National Guard. They're going to college, and he's going to Iraq. Barely a man, but he wants to fight a war that can't be won. He's my son, the baby I bore, the child I nurtured, a proud American soldier. Each day my little boy left for school, I reminded him, son, be kind. What do I say this time when he leaves? When I read that article, the words that I heard were, I love you. What do you say this time? I love you. That's what our soul is always saying in those places of uncertainty. I love you. That we're being called to the edge of our own becoming. We need new systems in place. We need people that are embodying higher ways of being. So we embrace uncertainty, knowing who I am. I know, I don't know, I pause, and I love. And I breathe in, and I breathe out. I take in, and I give out. I let love, I let go. I release, and I know. I breathe in, I breathe out. I take in, and I give out. And I let love, I let go. I release, and I know. As we turn our eyes within, close our eyes and turn our awareness within, we hear the birds. Every bird at some point has had to get up out of the comfort of the nest, the familiar, the safety, the only life it has ever known. And without knowing what these appendages on the side of its little body does, at some point in time that bird must come to the edge of the nest and must leap into the unknown. For to remain in the place where it is would be to create its own death. And even though that little bird has no idea how to fly, there is an intelligence within it that as soon as it takes the leap, there's an intelligence that knows how to do what it is born to do. When we face those places of uncertainty, there is something within us that knows how to do what is ours to do. And we begin to embrace the mystery of life as a gift. To realize that we're all mystics and we can be pessimistics or optimistics, but I want to be an optimistic. I want to know that I was born to do what is mine to do. And that I'm fully equipped with a divine intelligence that will guide me through those dark places. And that it is completely natural to be lost at times. Therefore, if you were not lost, if you did not believe it were impossible, then you would not know what it is to discover something new on the other side. Uncertainty is the field of mystical wonder, of creation. And so we embrace it. I am whole, sourced by the source. I know what I can know, and I don't know things at this point in time. I make time to pause throughout my days, throughout my week. I create intentional places of pause to listen, to be guided. And I love and allow myself to return to love again and again and again. I make my way to the abiding presence, that love that will not die. And I breathe in and I breathe out. I take in and I give out, and I let love, I let go, I release, and I know. So with your eyes closed, I invite you to smile. Feel the cells in your body smile. Feel the breeze and hear the birds. Remember how right now as you sit in that chair, you are actually on the outer surface of a planet that is flying through space. Wow. The power and the presence that holds all of this together is right where you are. So I breathe in and I breathe out, and I take in and I give out, and I let love, I let go, I release, and I know. Yeah. Feel a little better equipped to deal with uncertainty? Thank you so much. I want to take this opportunity to thank those who are on our staff, our board, our reopening team. Would you stand up and just let us thank you wherever you are, those who have been helping with all of this stuff. I want to thank all of those who are on the Habitat team, who have been on the lawnmowers and weed eaters and keeping our place in beautiful shape. Would you stand up if you're part of that group and let us thank you? They've all been working so hard, they all may be gone. Thank you all for being a part of that. Kat and the band are going to close us out with a song, but before they do, there is if you turn back behind you, instead of having our traditional offering, I know many of you, most of you, are now supporting online, and I want to just say that we truly appreciate that, because even though we're not gathering here physically every week, the expenses go on, and you have been incredibly faithful. I firmly believe if everyone does what's theirs to do, it will work out, and it has been. So there are some boxes in the back. If you have an offering today that you'd like to deposit, you can do that. Otherwise, we appreciate your giving online. And if you have any questions, Rev Christie will be back there with you. So to close us out with a song, what you going to sing this time, Kat?
I didn't think it could be until it happened to me.
By the one and only Andre Crouch.
Crouch.
Especially when the microphone's turned on. All right, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen. Have a wonderful day. Go in peace. We will be live streaming at 11, so thank you so much. We're hoping to do this again the 1st of next month, but just watch out on the Facebook and our website. We'll keep you posted if we can do it again before then.
Somebody told me know that it's true.